Hi, team. Glad you're joining me today. Welcome. This one's going to be a short and sweet podcast. And this one is all about taking up space. That is my invitation for you today to take up space. You're a beautiful, powerful soul meant to expand and not shrink. Your energy, BTW, enters every space before you do. That's kind of a fun thing to consider. So, anytime you're about to go into your house, into a store, wherever, just kind of pause and think about how you want to enter that space and what energy you want to go into that space before you. It's interesting once you start noticing and paying attention to that. And I invite you right now, wherever you're at, if you're driving, just be careful. Um, if you're walking, maybe slow down a little bit and just notice without judgment how your body is existing in the space you're in right now. Notice your jaw. Is your jaw soft? Is your jaw tense? Are you kind of biting down? Notice your shoulders. This is a big one related to taking up space. How are your shoulders sitting right now? Are they rounded forward? Are they soft and open? Is your head leaning forward? Is your head long and tall? Just notice, is there rounding in your back? Is there tension in your neck? Does your neck feel nice and loose? Just come into awareness of that and always do so without judgment. Judging ourselves will never help us. It only moves us backward. Backwards? Backward. And if we can come into awareness as often as is available to how our bodies are showing up, that will give us a lot of information. And related to taking up space, when you think about the way that you are currently, right now, how your body is existing, is it available for you to open up and stand or sit like a starfish? You know, when you see starfish and they're just, I think of that, the movie Finding Nemo, where that starfish, I think it's a starfish, is up against the wall of the aquarium and just big open space kind of suctioned to the the glass. And I mean, even my hands are out right now, even just thinking of a starfish. So if it's available wherever you're at, think about expanding your body into the shape of a starfish, arms wide, head long. If you're standing and that's available, legs wide and open, and just feel how that feels. Notice how that feels in your body. Take a breath in that position and be aware of what comes up for you. Does this feel, and then you can relax if you want or stay in that position. Does that feel good? Does that feel challenging? Um does it make you nervous to stand in that position? Just check in with yourself about your relationship with taking up space. When I was younger, I hid my body. I've had to relearn to position my shoulders in an open position. I would collapse, I would shrink, I would try to cover up my chest. I wore big baggy shirts. I wore shirts when I went swimming. I was trying so hard to hide. And I still get curious, even to this day, about why was that? Why did I want to hide myself? What was I covering up? Was I afraid of something? And I've worked through a lot of this. But these are good questions to ask yourself if you notice the position of your body, or if you're trying to hide or collapse or fold in or shrink. Why is that? Is it something that is available for you to be curious about now? When I think back to when I was younger, I I do have sadness for my younger self, thinking about, oh, honey, you didn't need to shrink. I know the world made you feel like you needed to. And I think part of it was, growing up and and growing up in maybe the time I did where girls in particular, their bodies were dangerous. That was the story I was told. And so if I could protect myself by not being seen, then no harm would come to me. Isn't that such a freaking sad story? And probably true for a lot of people, particularly women and girls. And so I've had to do a lot of work around that. And part of that work has been shifting and opening and being willing to take up space. And the conflict I notice even as I say that is, and I also want to make sure I'm protected. Isn't that interesting? Like take up space but not too much space, and then I have to navigate and get curious about that, because I, of course, take up space. Um, I want to be proud of the body that I exist in now and always. And I don't want to shrink. I don't want to collapse. Anyway, I think if we can get curious about what makes us shrink and constrict and what makes us expand, that will help us as we move through the world to take up space. And it doesn't necessarily have to be taking up space with our physical body, although I do believe that is important. It can be how do we take up space with our energy, positive, negative, and neutral? That is an interesting thing. Noticing how you go into a space, what your energy looks like, um, and also thinking about being in a we can take up space in all the ways when we are grounded and rooted. Like think about a giant oak tree. I mean, that oak tree, tell you what, you look at the roots. Don't dig around them or anything, but what about the roots of an oak tree? They're not gripping the ground tight. They just trust that the earth is holding them. And I often come back to that. I love trees. I love everything about what the earth provides for us, and thinking about rooting and trusting that the earth is holding us and that we can take up space because we're held. um I like that idea where I'm not holding on to the earth is holding on to me. That's kind of a cool idea. And then offering gratitude to the earth for all she does for us, but noticing how it feels when you feel grounded, when you feel open, when you feel expansive, when you feel like a starfish, when you feel like a great oak, and just sit in that feeling anytime you are able to. And and then also one thing that I came to for myself was more, I think more when I was in college. Notice how it feels to use your voice. Using your voice is taking up space. And then moving through the world with your full authentic presence. Not changing yourself to fit into a certain way of being. There's nothing wrong with I used to think kind of the idea of being a chameleon was a quote unquote bad idea. I don't feel that way anymore. I think in a way I'm embracing it as adapting to the environment that you're in. I used to change, like fully be one way and shift around that. I don't do that anymore. And I'm aware of, well, in this environment, this will serve me in a better way and serve these people in a better way. It's very nuanced, and I'd be curious to get your input on that, because I think that's also important. You're not changing yourself, and you're moving in a way that is aware of your surroundings, but being your authentic self. take up space as your authentic self, however that is. Sometimes it is you're quiet. I am often more quiet in the space that I'm in, and I can take up space in my quiet observance. Like that feels very empowering. I don't have to be loud. Some people, there is a louder presence, and good for them. um and when I'm at a track meet, I'm quite loud. I'm not trying to be obnoxious. I'm sure that that can be the case. But I'm there sending that energy to the kids who are running. And anyway, that's a tangent. But the world needs as many of us as can be to take up space and fill the space with your light. Okay, because there is the idea of taking up space, and it's we don't want it to be the negative energy, the low vibe energy. And you're not always going to be in a high vibe, but being aware of how you're showing up and how you're taking up space. So maybe think about that today. How do you take up space in the world? How would you like to take up space in the world? Doesn't have to be physical, but that physical shift where, like, even just notice right this second, how's your body sitting without judging? Take a breath and see if you can open a little bit more. Oh, I like the size. I like the moments when I can soften my shoulders and soften my jaw and open my heart. Think about it in that way. Like your heart has so much powerful energy, just energetically. Your heart is putting out so much energy. If we could see it, like I don't know, some people you probably can see it, but that energy, if you like open it, I think it was the Care Bears, maybe, for those of you who grew up in the 80s. Hey, 80s babies. Where the I think it was a Care Bears, the light from the heart shines out. Be a Care Bear, maybe. I don't know, I could be wrong. Anyway, that's the image I have, is of a Care Bear with that light. Green, maybe it was a green light. I'm picturing an emerald green shooting out from the heart center of the Care Bears. I don't know, maybe they were onto something. I'm starting to get chills, so that might be I might get curious about that later. But walk around with that heart open, that light coming out. It's not going to hurt anybody to have your, the energy you walk into a space, uh the energy with which you walk into a space being light and love and peace and freedom and joy. You don't have to force it, but maybe adding that intention into the way you move throughout the day. And then being gentle with yourself. Like, hey, Becca, take up space today. How will that look? How will that feel? What does expansion feel like and look like? What does constriction feel? I know what constriction feels like. Everything rounds forward, tight, 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 tucked. Don't look at me. And sometimes that is how the day is. Don't, we're not judging it. Let it be that. And notice why, and ask what's one thing I could do today to expand a little bit more. Maybe it's just you just do these little shoulder exercises. You're just kind of rolling the shoulders back and down. Maybe it is as simple as breathing. Because when you go into that deep belly breath where you can allow that diaphragm to descend and make room into your lungs, like in my motion just now, imagining my diaphragm descending and my lungs opening, my shoulders automatically rolled back and down. Our bodies are freaking amazing. They give us so much information and so much wisdom. Oh, yeah, take your breath. Here's your opportunity to take a deep breath right now. Notice how that feels. And then think about how you want to take up space in the world, because we need lots of light, lots of goodness, lots of high vibe energy coming into spaces. And you don't have to be loud about it. You will be loud, but it won't necessarily be loud in the way we think of loudness. Have fun with that thought. So my encouragement to you today, people, is to take up space. Take up space. And especially if I have any younger listeners, which someday I hope more young listeners tune in, take up space. Walk in a way that is open. Shine your light. Take up space. Expand. Okay? Be a starfish. Be a giant oak tree. All right, you all are a big deal. I'm cheering for you. Keep showing up. We need your light. Take up space.
Thanks for joining me today. If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to rate, review, and follow the show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Keep showing up, and remember, you are a big deal.